Joining us now, President and CEO of the National Automatic Merchandising Association, Carla Balakgie, who says it's going to cost her industry big time. Okay, first of all, though, let's talk about the calorie point of it, because doesn't every item, unfortunately, already have the caloric intake on it?
It does indeed. Every product has caloric information on it, nutritional and otherwise. In some cases, the product manufacturers are also already posting it on the front of the packages. And our industry, I'm really proud to say, has been ahead of the curve, because for almost 10 years, we've been identifying products in the machines with stickers and other things that identify better for you products that meet a certain nutritional standard is already established by the USDA. So in our estimation, it's redundant. It's unnecessary to a degree, and it's going to be very costly to implement.
So the theory being is that, you know, part of the reason behind this is fighting obesity and getting people to make more healthier choices. Do you change the contents of the vending machines? Is that one of the options? Well,
that's one of the wonderful and actually challenging things about this industry is we serve every type of consumer in every type of venue, schools and hospitals, where those types of things are very important, and we can customize what's in those machines based on the demographic. But if you have information that's already in front of you that's telling you the better for you choices, you already have the chance to make a choice. The challenge is, of course, we don't yet know what the cost is because the regs are not final. Our estimates, which I think you cited in the lead, are at least $42,000 per company per annum just to start. That's a guess. You multiply that by 10,000 companies, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's an efficiency cost. But if you have a machine that is an older machine that has glass fronts, and you have to manually update these things, not once, time over time, year over year, the cost in hours. It's a cost to a small business. It's a burden. We're seeking flexibility, reasonable accommodation from the FDA. And I question really the necessity of calorie disclosure on a vending machine when a product is already carrying that information.
Carla Balakgie, this is going to be continued to be debated, I'm sure. Thanks for being here.
It is. Thank you so much.
From day one, Carla Balakgie has made an incredible impression and contribution. And as we just saw from this television clip, she has not stopped since. We truly appreciate Carla's visionary leadership and her commitment to excellence. I like to think that we make a great team, and I am truly honored to serve with her. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming NAMA's President and CEO, Carla Balakgie.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Hey. And the 2014 OneShow, of course. Pete, thank you for that eloquent and lovely introduction. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank, before I get rolling, I want to thank everyone, so I don't forget, our exhibitors, our very generous sponsors, all of you for making the journey, and my exceptional staff who work so hard to create this event and this welcome for you. So, thank you. And it really is great to have you here. This is our home turf. And to gather once again to learn about what's new in our industry, good, bad, and otherwise. So, I'm going to change a little bit about what I talked to you this year. And I'm going to talk to you about the forces that are profoundly affecting vending and refreshment services. Some of them are in our control and some of them are not. They include a societal shift toward nutrition and wellness, changing consumer and workplace trends, and of course, continuing, perhaps relentless government intervention. You told us in our government affairs assessments and our member needs surveys that these are some of the most important issues to you, so clearly they're on your mind. And I will posit that they're challenges, but they're also the opportunities that are shaping our industry. So today I'd like to talk to you about the state of our union in the context of what's happening in each of these trend areas and what we're doing about it and what you can do about it. As we discuss these trends, I'd like you to think about them in terms of durable advantage. Is that a familiar term? I'm guessing you know durable advantage is about building sustainability for your business over a period of time, a long period of time. And when you think about it, it's a lot like diversifying a stock portfolio. Anytime you invest in something, you have to consider the short-term, long-term gains and the payoffs on those horizons. Most financial advisors will tell you there are inevitable peaks and valleys in the market, but you must invest to grow over the long term. Now, along these lines, I see some really encouraging developments in the industry. I travel around, talk to a lot of you, and more operators are starting to blend their original business lines with new products and formats that are appealing to these changing consumer preferences and demands. For example, traditional vend operators are increasingly starting up micro markets, right? We know this. Or they're adding different aspects of coffee, tea, and water to their product mix and vice versa. Few of you are exclusively any one thing anymore. In short, you're blurring the lines and becoming what I call a blended operator. Diversifying in this way will help you gain greater market share and navigate the ups and downs that are inherent to any business, really. It also provides working capital for future investments. The bottom line is that diversification is a smart strategy for moving ahead and generating long-term sustained growth. So you're going to hear these themes throughout what I'm saying today. Sustained growth, durable advantage. So speaking of long-term investments, now let's tie that to one of the issues that I mentioned at the top, namely nutrition and wellness. As a trend, I think we can all agree that external forces are driving new demands, yes? It's certainly at the top of the national policy agenda, not to mention the White House and the First Lady's initiatives, at least for a few more months. And of course, consumers and their advocacy groups very much have their own agenda in this regard. For us, it will mandate a different type of business strategy than today. It's an area that requires thoughtful investment over time, one that involves meeting a broad spectrum of current consumer preferences while also simultaneously addressing these fundamental shifts that are taking place in the American psyche and diet. Aren't we continually reminded of the epidemic of obesity in America and the role that food and beverage plays in that trend? Consumer advocacy groups, the media, the regulators are demanding more accountability, more choice, more transparency from the entire food and beverage industry, not just us. Meanwhile, the American diet is slowly becoming healthier, and this trend will continue. A recent USDA study indicated that working-age adults are consuming, on average, 118 fewer calories per day than they were 4 years ago. This decline appears to be influenced by their increasing focus on nutrition when they're selecting what they're consuming. Changes in the quality of food that's available, and of course the greater availability of information, nutritional information on labeling and calorie disclosure, for example. Against this backdrop, our industry faces burdens such as calorie disclosure rules, proposed FDA labeling, USDA school standards, beverage taxes, a bevy of other legislative and regulatory threats. What I'm trying to say is that it isn't a headwind, it's a storm, and it's not going to abate. This is a shift in our society. It is the future. I have listened to the dialogue in DC, in key states like California who are driving these mandates, from private sector groups that are garnering a lot of resources to drive their agendas forward. And I will say with assurance that the expectation is that the food and beverage industry must respond. But right now, there is strong interest in seeing significant gestures from the private sector, from industry, meaningful change that is self-initiated and self-led. We have a window of opportunity to demonstrate that we're offering viable solutions. So, while it may be beyond our control, how it plays out, how it happens, is not beyond our control. The result of public-private collaboration is always better than having requirements imposed. So here's how we're doing our part. We've been doing our part. NAMA was a pioneer in promoting informed choice with the introduction of Balance for Life and FitPick in 2005. Now we're building on that foundation by creating the new NAMA Nutrition and Wellness Center to engage members, public officials, and consumers in this important debate. We've also formed a high-profile nutrition advisory council comprised of industry, academic, and other subject matter experts who are guiding our strategy and thought leadership in this arena. One result is the complete update of the Fitbit program, which made its debut during this meeting earlier this morning and on the show floor. And we're not doing this alone. We've also made significant strides in our coalition building work. For example, we recently endorsed the American Beverage Association's Calories Count program that promotes informed choice for the consumption of beverage. Now, I've talked a lot about the forward push. The other side of the coin is fighting unrealistic and burdensome regulations that threaten our businesses. Together with the ABA and like groups, we have defeated sugar-sweetened beverage taxes, GMO labeling proposals, and we have shaped micro-market regulations at city and state levels nationwide. You've probably noticed, you saw the clip, that we have also increased our public relations presence. We're getting our messages out there, driving a steady stream of positive news about the industry, its contributions, and NAMA's initiatives. We are working really hard to enlighten detractors and enlist advocates and engage stakeholders of all types. Our goal is to ensure that consumers and other important audiences see our industry as part of the solution, not part of the problem. To that end, it really is imperative that we pay attention to what consumers want. But that's opportunity. Like it or not, today's consumers, as they probably always have, influence your business choices and the things you must do in running them. According to a Technomics study, more consumers than ever, 64%, say that it's important to eat healthy foods and pay attention to nutrition. A similar report cited that almost half of adult consumers would use vending machines more often if they carried or sold more healthy options. It's clear that balance and informed choice are critically important to our product mix going forward. Now, I want to take a moment and acknowledge we know that traditionally vended snacks and beverages still sell, and they sell well. We know that consumers still buy them. We know they're your profit leaders, and we are certainly not advocating that you abandon them. We realize that is completely unrealistic and inconsistent with delivering convenience, value, choice, and the things that have made our industry great. But careful experimentation with product innovations that are driven by consumer preference, it's a smart way to build durable advantage and to navigate those peaks and valleys. So think about your most non-traditional client and start there by doing something different. The point is that consumers' demand will change, and we will have to meet them at least halfway. And by proactively responding to the groundswell of public interest in nutrition and wellness, we will be the designers of our destiny. The designers, not the victims. So all these consumer demands and forces also apply to technology innovation. Consumers are more digitally mobile than ever before, and let's face it, they love our gadgets. They love their gadgets. I love mine. Who doesn't? A new Nielsen study reported that 64% of respondents use their social media at least once a day, and most of the time on the phone. Right? How many of you are out there doing this right now? Also, growth in non-cash payments continues at a double-digit pace worldwide. These fast-moving developments have a lot of implications for the industry. Younger consumers, as we know, especially love interacting with machines. They want everything faster and fresher and more convenient, and we know for a fact that they don't carry cash like their parents, me, whatever, that we do, my generation. The good news is that more of you, embraced new payment technologies last year than ever before, and it's making a difference in sales. And why do I say that? Well, the latest State of the Industry report cites one example of a 28% increase in overall sales with machines that have cashless readers. And from that, 11% was electronic transactions. So you can see that electronic payments will grow your revenue. Of course, now this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, given my background. But let me take it from a different side. Accepting cash is not free. Considering the costs of equipment, service calls, labor, security, fuel, banking fees, HR, the costs are real. They might not be as transparent, but to accept cash is not free. According to one study, this can amount to more than 6.5% of a vending operation's total revenue. And then there, of course, is the cost of lost opportunity in sales. We know that consumers spend approximately 20% less when paying with cash than they do with credit or debit. Somehow it isn't the same in them. It's hard. It's hard to argue with those numbers. The bottom line is, if accepting cashless payments is cheaper in the long run and results in a higher average ticket, meets consumer demands, why would you turn that down? So I'd like you to put on your retailer hat for a moment, and without the daunting prospect, set this aside of a systems overhaul or whatever it's going to take to get the technology in place. What can you do to implement? What change can you make to make your product delivery more consumer friendly? Is it going cashless on machines where the customer base is right? Or is it installing a micro market, which we know are predominantly cashless, in a location that's going to get you stronger ROI? How about a machine that offers 100% healthy products in a hospital or health club and is completely cashless? However you accomplish it, that's your business. Diversification, experimentation, and strategic long-term investment is going to create durable advantage. I'm not done on these consumer trends. Let's look at what's happening in the workplace. It's where you work. As the economy continues to recover, competition for talent has become more fierce. As a result, employers are striving to create employee-friendly environments that engage their workers, stimulate productivity, and gender loyalty. Guess what that includes? The company break room is making a comeback as a competitive advantage for employers. I recently heard a presentation that reinforced the idea of the break room experience as critical for attracting and retaining employees. The presenter talked about food being a central component of life's most memorable experiences. Now think about that for a minute. It's true, right? Don't we all congregate in the kitchen during the party and social events? Food is a part of life's most memorable experiences. And since the majority of workers spend their waking hours, those who are working in a traditional office, at that place, our opportunity is to create meaningful food experiences in the workplace in a way, of course, that benefits the industry. Now, I'm using the term food to mean refreshments in general. Coffee, tea, and water, are a huge part of that. As an NAMA member, you have access to cutting-edge research and information on this rapidly growing segment. For example, the study we released last year at CTW indicated that 50% of employees would consume more amounts of coffee if they had the option to make espresso and latte right in the office. That's a food experience, a beverage experience. That's just one example. Workplace trends are going to continue to evolve, and there's already a ton of information available to you that you can use right now, so I encourage you to grab it and use it to your advantage. Create that new workplace experience. Now, I'd like to switch gears and talk about what's happening in the advocacy area and what NAMA is doing for you, because this is a different kind of force and trend. Remember, we're talking about the state of our union. So in addition to what I've already mentioned, and you've heard Pete talk about, we're really highly engaged in a variety of important dialogues at municipal, state, local, and federal levels. The most significant issues are, and they align with what you told us, nutrition and wellness, especially calorie disclosure and labeling, a proposal by the U.S. Mint to change the metallic makeup of coin currency, which would have a dramatic and negative impact on our business, the cash portion of it. Food safety, especially related to micromarkets, and the reduction of lead in the Drinking Water Act. So as you can see, these things touch every one of your business lines. So to address these and other issues, we facilitate a great deal of interaction between industry and public officials at all levels. For example, a couple of our members recently journeyed to DC and they met with their representative, Patrick Murphy from Florida. And in the time they had with the congressman, they were able to impress upon him how the Mint's coin proposal would hurt small businesses and industry jobs. When I spoke to Representative Murphy a week later in a social setting, he remembered NAMA. He's like, oh, I know you people. I remember you visited with me last week. He knew the names of the people who were in his office. He remembered what they talked about, and he reported back to me the impact of what they were considering on the industry. Another congressman decided to withdraw his support for the same bill after hearing that information. And there you have it. A real example how your involvement can make a positive and big difference on some very intractable issues. We're also bringing together our coffee service members on EPA and Energy Star brewer standards. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge some of our guests in the office. We have some ETA representatives here, as well as visitors from the Mint, the Marine Corps, who we're working with on the Healthy Base Initiative. My point is that these are examples of the effective public-private collaboration that we're bringing about on your behalf. With regard to micromarkets, food safety has emerged as a huge issue, especially with city and state governments. Along with our state council, we worked with the Indiana State Department of Public Health to develop positive guidance for regulators when inspecting micromarkets. This set of standards is the first and most comprehensive of its kind, and it will be used and is being used as a model for recommended food code standards in other states and also at the national level. I hope you realize that NAMA can only do these things and can only help you with these sometimes very local issues if you're a member. One of the benefits of membership is having a direct line to our team who will back you in fighting these local issues, adverse government intervention. If you're not a member, you're missing out on this kind of very personal support. From what I've told you about the environment and NAMA's efforts, I hope you can see that we all need each other. We can't do this alone. We get this done together. NAMA needs you, and you need NAMA. Take, for example, the OneShow and CTW are the best, we believe, and hope you agree, the best forums for business networking and discovering what's new. Our year-round education programs and research and other information products give you excellent information to equip you for running your business. And as I've detailed for you this afternoon, we take aggressive action on legislative and regulatory issues that threaten the success of your business and our industry overall. In the face of all this, it is the introductions we can make for you, the doors we can open, and the resources that we can bring to bear that are the exclusive value of NAMA membership. And they're there for you. So I've talked a lot about some complex and hefty issues today. It's the world we're in. And as I've said, many of them will play out over a period of time, and how we address them will evolve. But there are a couple of key tenets of success that will never go out of style. A laser focus on the customer, maybe the consumer experience. Service as strategy for success, and people enthusiastically doing business with people that they know and like. That's why we're all here, right? These are the principles of good business, and they're not going anywhere. When you couple these with calculated risk, diversification, long-term investment, you have a winning combination. Going forward, I genuinely believe that if a good number of you become more blended operators, focused intently on the consumer, it will fuel our collective success, not to mention your durable advantage. So I'd like to close with a couple of questions for you to think about. Given everything I've covered today and talked about, did it make you think about where you are on this continuum of change and in the face of these trends? Are you doing your part to respond to market trends and to put your business and our industry in the best possible light for the future? And how will you embrace the opportunities, yes, opportunities, and use them to your advantage? And finally, for you members, how can we help you? If you're already a member, let us know what we can do, and if you're not, join us today so that you don't miss out. There is a great book published by Harvard Business Review called Just Start. Written by 3 seasoned business leaders, the book has a subtitle that pretty much sums up what I'm suggesting to you today. Take action, embrace uncertainty, create the future. Thank you.